and welcome to A Game of Two Halves, a show brought to you by sports journalism students here at the University of South Wales. My name is Tom Murphy, and in this show we'll be taking a deep dive into what the Welsh Government are doing to make sport more accessible. We will also be speaking to representatives of Disability Sport Wales, the FAW and Cardiff City Foundation, as well as chat with a second-year student about his experience on the course so far. But first, here are some of the sporting headlines across Wales. Wales women continue to celebrate the achievement of qualifying for a major tournament for the first time ever. Rhian Wilkinson's side triumphed over the Republic of Ireland 2-1 in Dublin on Tuesday night, thanks to second-half goals from Hannah Kane and Carrie Jones. Wales can now prepare to travel to Switzerland next summer. And elsewhere, TNS lost for the third time in their last 5 games, losing 1-0 away at Bala Town last night. A first-half penalty from striker George Newell gave the Town the win, which sees them move up to 5th in the Cymru Premier, while TNS remain 4 points behind Penybont at the top. Now, despite the growth of the Paralympics in the last decade, people with disabilities still find it difficult to take part in sport. However, the Welsh Government are trying to combat this by using different methods to make sport more inclusive for all people. Jake Maddaford reports.
Despite the recent growth in popularity of disability sport, it is of the belief that the government can still do more to provide people with more opportunities to get involved in sport. I sat down with Welsh Government's Head of Sport, Neil Welch, and he outlined to me what the current government's plans are to enable inclusion in sport.
Well, one of the programme for government commitments of the current government is to promote equal access to sport and to support young and talented athletes and grassroots clubs. The other thing as a government we've been doing recently is we've had a disability rights task force. They're in the process of developing a disability action plan. And over the past 6 to 9 months, they've engaged with a wide range of stakeholders, one of which is looking at well-being for disabled individuals.
A study from Sports Wales said that 47% of people with a disability or impairment take part in extracurricular activities, compared to 57% of people without disability or impairment. What could see this number rise is the success of the most recent Paralympic Games, in which 16 Welsh athletes took home medals in Paris. Neil Welch is hopeful that this could see a growth in disability sport in the country.
Watching the Olympics this year, and particularly watching the Welsh athletes at the Olympics, bringing home 16 medals, 7 goals. I think it's just fantastic. I think, we've now got a group of role models that, children in primary school today, sort of 8, 9, 10, 11, can look at what they can achieve in 10 years' time in, Olympics and Commonwealth Games.
The growth of disability sport combined with the success of the most recent Paralympic Games can give people the right to be optimistic that in the near future the Welsh Government will continue to provide opportunities for people all across the country that might not have been there just a few years ago.
I'm now joined in the studio by Tom Rogers, who works as the Governance and Partnership Director at Disability Sport Wales. Tom, thanks for joining us in the studio today. Can you just tell us a little bit about your role and just give us a little bit of context?
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for the welcome. I'm Governance and Partnership Director with Disability Sport Wales. Not always the easiest thing to sound like the most exciting job in the world, but it's mainly the responsibility around everything that happens in the background to make sport happen, to help partners be more inclusive, and anything that sits around that research element as well to help us sell that message the best way we can. And
Disability Sport Wales obviously has partnerships with organisations such as the Areas and Street Games, just to name a few. How do you support these partnerships?
Yeah, so like to make sport more inclusive in Wales, everyone has to do it, right? That's the only way we're ever going to get to that point. So we have a programme called InSport, and that InSport programme essentially supports partners in the best way that they need to support them. So some of those partners you mentioned there, they might need different levels of support. So there's 500 organisations that works with that, and that goes from, a majority of those are clubs that you see in the community, but it caps like Cardiff City Football Foundation, the Welsh Rugby Union, all 22 local authorities in Wales. So there's 28 sports, 22 local authorities and 10 other partners like the Areas and Street Games, Cardiff City. So that support is bespoke. It's there to help them deliver whatever their programmes are in the most inclusive way they can.
Oh, great. Well, yeah, thanks very much for that. It was great to get some context there. Thanks, Tom. And moving on, the Cardiff City Foundation is another organisation that is hard at work to make sport more accessible. Jake Maddaford went down to the House of Sport to find out more about their strategies.
The Cardiff City FC Foundation is one of the leading organisations that enables inclusion in sport across the Welsh capital. I sat down with Head of Post-16 Education Matthew Pugh, who told me about how the foundation prides itself on its policies.
So Cardiff City FC Community Foundation, actually we really pride ourselves on our approach, our inclusive approach to the projects that we actually run. We do a number of workshops and festivals, so a lot of the workshops and festivals that we actually run, we try to make them as inclusive as possible. So we might work with students with additional learning needs, with disabilities, and we work with the local communities, local schools and local colleges to actually run these particular workshops and festivals. And we also run very specific local area enrichment activities too.
The most recent Sport Wales School survey showed that of the 116,000 pupils that took part in it, 42% of them were white, which is the same number of pupils that are mixed race. However, that is compared to 38% of pupils that are black and only 30% of pupils that are Asian. But Matt has seen growth in the latter two groups, taking part in sessions that the foundation run.
Yes. Due to the unique appeal of Cardiff City Football Club and the power of the Cardiff City Football Club badge, we're able to reach a wider audience. So we don't actually just focus on the Cardiff area. Like I said, because of the unique appeal of the Cardiff City Football Club, we're able to reach wider audiences. So we're actually working with many more communities now across South Wales.
The workshops and facilities provided by the Cardiff City Foundation are already making massive impacts in local communities across the Welsh capital, and it is of the belief that over the next few years it will make a bigger impact than it currently is. Jake Maddaford, USW Sports Journalism.
Next up, we'll have a conversation with someone who is leading the charge to make sport more inclusive. The FAW Senior Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Manager, Jason Webber, spoke to us about the organisation's target over the next few years as they aim to make sport more accessible for all.
Can you just tell me about what the FAW does to enable inclusion in sport across South Wales?
Yeah, certainly. So back in 2021, we launched our PAW strategy, so PAW being everyone in Cymraeg and Welsh, of course, and very much the vision that we have for the Football Association Wales and football across Wales is to ensure that everybody has the opportunity to be involved in football. It's an inclusive environment and one where everyone feels welcome. So the key parts of that across the sort of four key areas is very much around reporting and challenging discrimination, so ensuring that everyone is free from discrimination while participating within the game. Also kind of more broadly around equality and diversity, so ensuring that our members, those who are players, coaches, volunteers, fans, etc., it reflects the diversity and the demographics across Wales. Furthermore, what we try to do at the start is to kind of listen and understand. So we set up a range of networks, for example, to really sort of listen to some of the barriers that still exist within the game, and also sort of really understand what work can we do, what things can we improve on to ensure that we are achieving our mission throughout that as well. And that strategy will run up until 2026. So we're very much sort of in the forefront of implementing that as we go throughout the association as well. Yeah, certainly. So I think, as I said, you know, the foundation of the pillar is education awareness. We've had a huge amount of people that have engaged through our education programs, whether that be online courses, live workshops, conferences that we've run as well as the range of resources that we've developed. So certainly that understanding across sort of multiple facets across equality, diversity and inclusion has really increased throughout the game. With regards to discrimination, yes, of course, there are still, unfortunately, a number of cases that do happen within the game, but the one positive thing is that actually more of those now are being reported. Within the sort of the equality and diversity pillar of our strategy, obviously we want to ensure that the game is reflective of all communities and all areas of Wales in terms of society, and again within that, whether it be sort of specifically Black Asian community, those who are players, coaches, whether it be disabled people, you know, the statistics that we have, the data has seen increases on that over the last few years as well. And you know, one of the key things that we have brought in is bringing in a brand new role, which is a PAW equality champion. So every club within Wales, every league, every area association will have a designated person a little bit like the safeguarding officer sort of model that will be tasked then to sort of driving and ensuring that whether it be within a club or a league, that there's an inclusive environment and inclusion is at the forefront of decision making and everything that they do. Yeah, certainly, we've been very ambitious with our representation targets and with some of the other targets we've set around equality, diversity and inclusion. We've got targets for our own workforce as well, and we're seeing the progression on that. So we're on the right track to our targets. I think that we've still got a bit of progress that is to be made over the next couple of years. But again, we're certainly committed to ensuring that we achieve those targets by 2026.
Our final segment of today's programme sees us look to this course and what other students are getting up to. We sat down with second year student Michael Addison to discuss how he's found his time on the course so far and some of his recent work with Newport City.
I'm Michael Addison and I'm in the second year of the sports journalism course here at USW.
Right. So Michael, why did you decide to choose the sports journalism course?
I think mostly because when I was finishing up my time at college, I wanted an idea of what to do next, and I thought, well, that why not use the skills, because in school when I did my GCSEs and also my A-levels I did media and I kind of thoroughly enjoyed it, so why not try and build that on something also that I like is sports. So it was a no-brainer really for me to choose this course. The best experience I've had so far was probably when we finished at the end of the year, because we had an FAW training day at Celtic Manor, and you got to meet some really great people. Like even though I didn't particularly interview him, but Gail Clichy, Premier League winner, that was something that you don't get every day, and that's just something that the course gives you that maybe you wouldn't get if you were doing the same course somewhere else.
And what's been the most difficult thing you found since joining the course?
I think it's getting out of your comfort zone. I think we're all many students want to get the qualifications, but maybe not want to get their hands dirty. So being able to test myself, being able to maybe show and put my skills sort of to the test in the outer environment has sort of been a challenge, but something that I've enjoyed when I've done it.
Obviously in the second year, this is when placements come in on this course. You've obviously got one with Newport City. Can you just tell us how that came about?
Funny enough, it came through the course Facebook group that they were looking for students to help them out, and they're a club that are very driven of what they want to do, and they're very media driven in terms of the coverage that they put on the social media channels to be able to show what they're about. And they were looking for students to come along and help with the match day coverage, so that was something that I was able to do as part of to help me through this year.
And I see that you've been doing live commentary with them as well. Yeah. How have you found that?
I think the first week I did it, it was a little bit rusty, but I think going through it longer into it, because I've done now 3 games of it, I've become a little bit more confident. I think what I remember being told by one of the guys, that you just see that you hear the natural tone in my voice, that it's now it's not just something where I'm just brand new to it, it's like you're sort of in the rhythm, so it's something that's really good.
If you could give one piece of advice to someone who's considering joining this course, what would it be?
I think, if anything, it's come here if you want to grow as a person, because that's what this course is all about. You're not just here to learn and to have great experience, but also to make yourself a different person, but in the best light.
That's all the time we've got on this episode of A Game of Two Halves, but here's what you can expect next time.
This year I'd say definitely a lot better than last year. I'd say a bit more responsibility, having to get the work placement, which I'm thoroughly enjoying, to be honest, and just getting out and building my contacts.
It's about developing the younger generation to thrive on stuff.
But I am working also with an under-15s group for Cardiff Rugby. It's an emerging player pathway. Now that pathway.
Thank you for watching this episode of A Game of Two Halves. I've been Tom Murphy, and we hope to see you on the next episode at 2:30. Goodbye for now.